Oh, Jamar Chase with the dive. Because Garrett Wilson's wide open. Garrett Wilson, touchdown Barrett. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the video here in the World of Juice channel, and welcome to another rebuild here on Madden 24. Today's rebuild, there's a little bit of a twist, a little bit of a curveball that we haven't faced in any of my rebuilds up to this point. So, as you guys know, if you've been watching the rebuilds, I tend to lean heavily towards a certain grouping of playbooks, because we all know the meta in Madden Simulation is you get the best playbooks in the game and then you start to play well. Now, I don't usually do it until 2 to 3 years into the rebuild, once you've built a team that is consistently going to be pretty good, and then you put those playbooks in, and then the team just takes that next step. And obviously the playbooks I'm talking about are the Kansas City Chiefs offensive playbook and the Dallas Cowboys defensive playbook. Those playbook combinations are some of the best in Madden Simulation at this point. Now, there are some other ones that are pretty good. The Niners defense playbook is obviously really, really good. The Bills defensive playbook is pretty good. You've got the Ravens offensive playbook and defensive playbook are both pretty decent. So there's some combinations you can put together, but my personal favorite is Kansas City offense and Dallas defense. You merge those together, and teams that are not like super great on paper will play 10 times better than what they are because of those playbooks in simulation. So the reason why I say there's a little bit of a curveball is because today we are going to be rebuilding the Miami Dolphins. Now, I know they don't need a lot of rebuilding, but there's a reason I picked the Miami Dolphins, and we'll talk about that in a second. But we are going to be rebuilding the Miami Dolphins in Madden 24 without using Kansas City's playbook or Dallas's playbook. Those are banned, barred from the rebuild. I cannot at any point switch to Kansas City's playbook on offense and Dallas's playbook on defense. We have to, pretty much we're going to stick to Miami's play. Now, the Miami Dolphins in simulation do tend to make Super Bowls because their playbooks are pretty overpowered. And that is the strategic reason why I picked the Miami Dolphins, because they are a very, very good team. I'm not going to say that they're not. Obviously, in real life, they're unbelievably talented. And then in the game, they've got some really, really good pieces. Obviously, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua. And then on defense, you've got some really solid players like Jalen Ramsey and Jerome Baker and Christian Wilkins and all these guys. Javon Holland, all these amazing players on both offense and defense. But there are some holes that the Dolphins need filled, and I'm the perfect guy to fill those holes. So we're going to be rebuilding the Miami Dolphins, not using Kansas City's playbook or Dallas's playbook. We're going to be sticking with Miami's playbooks the entire way. I'm not going to switch to anybody else's playbook. It's going to be Miami's offense and defensive playbooks the entire way. Now, I can switch the scheme fits around, so we can switch from a 4-3 to a 3-4 or whatever it may be, and we can switch to from a spread to an air raid or to a ground game. Like, we can switch the scheme fits, but we can't switch the playbooks. We have to rely on Miami's playbooks and then my general galaxy brain knowledge and drafting god abilities to be able to rebuild this Miami Dolphins team. Now, I expect us to win at least one championship. I'm hoping 2. I don't know. We'll find out. Because right off the bat, this team's already pretty solid, so I'm hoping that we can get some good luck in simulation and win right off the bat, but you never really know. Without further ado, it's time to take a look at this team, figure out what we need to fill right away in the first offseason, and go from there. If you guys like this video and you have other suggestions for other possible rebuild challenges you want to see me try to attempt, leave them down below in the comments. I'll be happy to take them on board and possibly do them in the future. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club, and let's get started. Like I mentioned in the intro, the reason I picked the Miami Dolphins is because their team is already that top tier of good in Madden, and with the lack of Kansas City's playbook on offense, it could be a little bit of a challenge. There are some obvious fill-ins that we need to make here. We need to get a new tight end probably, since we're not going to be in the Travis Kelce role in the Kansas City playbook. Tyler Kroft's not going to get the usage that he would if we were in that playbook, so we're going to have to adjust our scheme there. The right side of the offensive line is very, very low overall, so we're going to have to fix that. Probably fix the entire offensive line in general, even Teron Armstead, because he is at this point super old. At 32 years old, and offensive linemen tend to regress. It's a little slower than regular position players, but still 32 years old. He's going to start to drop in overall. Although it will help if we start winning, because that morale will boost him up and keep him a higher overall for longer. Tua, obviously, we're not going to need a quarterback. Tua is going to be our guy for the entire rebuild as long as we can keep him under contract. 25 years old, lefty quarterback. The meme with Tua is that he underthrows a lot of passes, doesn't have the arm strength. Madden seems to think he doesn't have great arm strength with 85 throw power. I didn't make Tua, so I didn't make his throw power 85. They said that they did. But he's already an 86, probably going to be an 87, 88, maybe even 89, depending on how the season goes by the end of it. We've got Devon Achan, I think is how you pronounce his name. I apologize if that's not how you pronounce it. I know he came out like a couple months ago and said how you pronounce it, but I forget, honestly, how he said it. But he's super fast. 95 speed, 94 excel, 96 agility. He's unbelievable in the game, and he's unbelievable in real life as well. So he's going to be our guy, and he's only a rookie, so we'll hopefully keep him around for the entire rebuild, and he's already at 85 overall. Obviously, we've got Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, two of the fastest receivers in the league, but after that, we don't really have a whole lot. We've got Robbie Chosen, we've got Cedric Wilson, Chase Claypool's here, Braxton Berrios. There's not a whole lot of depth around Hill and Waddle. We've already talked about the offensive line and the tight end. And then on defense, it's a little bit better, but there's still some holes. We need to make sure the defensive line is better. We need to, I'm actually going to have Bradley Chubb start at left end. We need to have some more corners. We've got a few, but nothing really that special. Jalen Ramsey's going to be our number one, obviously. We probably could use one, maybe two corners. The linebackers are decent. We know how Jalen Phillips develops in Madden simulations. We've had him go off in simulations, both in Madden 23 and in this Madden 24 sims. So we know how good he can be. If we can keep him around, he'll be really, really good. On the defense or in the middle linebacking, we could use another middle linebacker. Jerome Baker, I do enjoy because he's a Buckeye not only, but he's also a very good player. And he's only 26 at 81 overall. I think he has a couple more years of development under his belt, especially if we start winning. Javon Holland will hopefully be our safety of the entire rebuild, our free safety, and then we could certainly use a strong safety. We have Brandon Jones, who we probably honestly should start because he's just got the star development over whoever's there. I think it's Deshaun Elliott. Yeah, so we might as well just start Jones over Elliott just for that sole purpose of he's younger and he's got. Is he younger? I don't think Deshaun Elliott's. Okay, he's a year younger, but he's got that development trait over Deshaun Elliott, which definitely boosts it up. But we only have one X factor on the entire team, which is Tyreek Hill. Oh, actually two. I forgot about Jalen Ramsey. We have two, one on offense, one on defense. Tua needs to develop, and we need to fill some of those obvious holes like the offensive line and stuff like that, but we can get those in the draft pretty easily. There's always good offensive linemen in these drafts. And this is our first one, our first draft. Now, I'm hoping that we're not going to be picking up in this spot because we're hopefully going to be pretty good, but this is what we're looking like here. We need to get offensive linemen, and it looks like there's a ton of tackles in the top of this draft. We need to get offensive linemen. We need to get a couple defensive linemen, maybe one or two corners, and maybe a linebacker or a safety. So those are kind of where I'm thinking we need to go. We have our national scout being offensive tackle interior lineman. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want. Exactly what I want, but we don't necessarily need a quarterback scout, so I'm going to fire him, and we need to go hire a two-star scout that is not a quarterback. I would prefer defensive line. Is there defensive line and linebacker maybe? That might be perfect. There's defensive tackle and middle linebacker. You know what? That's actually not too bad. I'm going to take that. Perfect. And then they were going to be central, southeast, northeast, southwest. Is that the one that I'm missing? Is it southwest? No, it's just straight up west. Okay, perfect. So we're going to keep our national scout as the offensive line scout, and then when we get to the like regional breakdown and set our national focus, I'm going to put it on offensive tackles, I would think, because that would certainly help us out a lot. And I'm probably going to use a lot of my focus training on offensive linemen in general, because that's the biggest need for this Miami team. But we know what the roster looks like. We know what we need to do. This is probably going to be pretty much straightforward season one. The only addition that I think this team could use is maybe trading for a third receiver. And there is a receiver on the Rams, I think you guys know where I'm going with this, that I think could be very good in the slot, and that is Puka Nacua. I think Puka could develop really well on this team. They need a right guard. We have Robert Hunt and Lester Cotton. Robert Hunt's 27 with a year left on his contract. They might accept that. They also need Isaiah Wynn, or they also need a left tackle. We have Isaiah Wynn, who also has a year left. I don't know if I would trade Isaiah Wynn, or I don't know if I'd re-sign Isaiah Wynn. I'm not 100% sure. We certainly need a new right tackle. They have a need at left end. I could give them Emmanuel Ogbah straight up for the cash that we'd save on this. And they decline it, but it's a little under halfway. So if we pair that alongside maybe a third-round pick in 2025 to bring in Puka Nacua, no, okay, I don't like that. What about if a third-round pick in 2026 as well? Okay, we're starting to talk, we're starting to have conversations. How about a 2026 second-round pick? They don't necessarily like that, but I can give them a 2025 second-round pick too. There we go. So Emmanuel Ogbah and 2 second-round picks for Puka Nacua. Having that third receiver is going to help 2 out, I really do think. And that's the first time I've actually gotten Puka Nacua in any one of these rebuilds. I've always wanted to get him because I think I enjoy him. I think he's a very good player. And if we generate the best lineup, they do throw in Robert Hunt there, but it's not going to really matter too much. And then we have Puka as the number 2 or the number 3 receiver. Perfect. I like that. And hopefully those second round picks aren't going to matter too much because we're going to be good anyway. That's at least the goal. But that's going to be the only move that I make. I think that adding Puka is going to really help. And we're going to simulate season 1, get to the season 1 playoffs. And I'm expecting us to be a part of them because I think the Dolphins in general simulate pretty well. Remember, we can't use Kansas City's playbook. We can't use Dallas's defensive playbook. I've got the straight up stuff. We've got Miami. So this will be the same, except for these might change, obviously. But the playbooks will stay the same the entire rebuild. I'll show you them periodically throughout just to make sure that you know that I'm being legit. And so those will stay the same, and hopefully we can have a good simulation and dominate year number 1. I'll see you guys at the end of season 1 with the results, and I'm expecting pretty good results, to be fair. We finished year number 1. We made it to the playoff time period, and we are not a part of it. We actually did not simulate very well this year. We finished 8 and 9, kind of in no man's land where you want to be. You don't want to be in the middle of the pack. You either want to be really, really bad or you want to be really, really good. You don't want to just be kind of middling around in the 8 and 9, 9 and 8 area. That's never a good thing because you don't get a good draft pick, you don't get a bad draft pick, you don't get anything. You don't make the playoffs, nothing. It's not a good spot to be in, but that's where we are in year number 1. With this offense and defensive playbook that the Dolphins have. So, stats on the year: 3,900 yards, 33 touchdowns, 11 picks for Tua picks, 70% completion percentage. It's a very solid season. I think with a couple of additions in free agency and a couple draft picks, I think this team can certainly take a next step in year number 2. Devon Achane does really, really well this year. 1,100 yards, only 5 touchdowns. We weren't really rushing the ball for touchdowns that well, but we were getting a lot of yards, it looks like. And then receiving, Tyreek goes over 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. Waddle almost gets over 1,000 with 10 touchdowns. And Puka has himself 900 yards and 6 touchdowns. So that's pretty solid 1, 2, 3 for the boys on receiving. That's why I wanted to bring in Puka. Then we have Jerome Baker, who had 107 tackles, 7 for loss. Xavier Howard, the X-Man, had 92, but no picks this year for Xavier. That's a little shocking. He usually gets a couple at least. Sealer gets 14 tackles for loss. Deshaun Hand 13. Jalen Phillips with 10. And he had 8 sacks. I told you Jalen Phillips is a monster in simulation. If you never pick him up, maybe think about picking him up in your rebuilds because he's a monster in simulation in terms of like production with sacks and tackles for loss and stuff like that. Especially if you put him in the right playbook. He led the team with 8 sacks. 7 for Sealer, 3 for Wilkins, 2 for Deshaun Hand, 2 for a couple of guys as well. And then Javon Holland actually from the free safety spot led the team with 4 picks. Jalen Ramsey had 3. Needham had 2. A couple guys had 1. All right. So that's where we're sitting. That is where we are sitting right now. After year number 1, we will simulate to the Super Bowl to see who's a part of it. I'm guessing it's going to be some combination of the Chiefs, Cowboys, Ravens, 49ers, Falcons probably are in there. Usually it's one of those teams in the first couple seasons that are making it to the Super Bowl. We'll see who it is, though. It is going to be the 49ers, Jaguars. So I forgot about the Jaguars. They do simulate pretty well in the beginning. You don't really see them later on once the other teams start to get a little bit better. But the Jaguars, you do see on rare occasions 1 and 2, season 1 and 2. And we have $90.5 million. I re-signed everybody that I wanted to re-sign during the simulation. And the Jaguars blew out the Niners 35-14 to win the Super Bowl. That's something you certainly don't see. Josh Allen, Super Bowl MVP. Mahomes is the regular season MVP. And it's Rice and Carter for Rookies of the Year. No surprise there. It's usually a combination of those couple guys that win Rookie of the Year every year. But we move to our first off season of the rebuild. We have a ton of cap space. I'm hoping that this draft or this free agency class is going to be useful. It's probably not going to be. But as I mentioned, I re-signed the guys that I really wanted to re-sign. We don't really want to bring back Deshaun Elliott since we're going to start Jones anyway. Isaiah Wynn can probably leave. Nick Needham is a star development player. That might change things because he wasn't star development earlier in the season, so he has gone up with his season that he had. You know what? We've got the cap. We might as well bring back Nick Needham as a nice little depth corner. And he's coming back for, what did I get him, 2 years or something like that? That's going to be everybody that we re-sign. Everybody else can walk. We don't necessarily need Isaiah Wynn. And since we were just kind of mid this season, we're not going to have a great draft pick. It's going to probably be in the teens, I would guess. We could take a look. If we go to our roster, we could take a look right away at what our draft pick is. It is going to be 12, so it's top 15. That's still good enough to get a solid starter. It's just a matter of where the mock draft has everybody going. But here we go into free agency with a ton of cap, and it's not a good free agency. Michael Pierce is the best defensive player available. It is not that good of a free agent class. Okay, so we have all this money and nobody to sign. We could bring a tight end in, but honestly, nobody's really better than Croft anyway. I could bring in Andrew Norwell just to like patchwork the offensive line since we let go of Isaiah Wynn, or maybe we just let the rookie. If we draft a rookie, we let them start, which is probably what I'm gonna do. But there's not really anybody here that I want. I don't want to waste money on signing players. Caden Ellis, is that really gonna do anything? Devin Bush, not going to really do anything. There's not really a whole lot of people that I want here. Nobody's really going to change the team. So we're just going to save our money. That's a little kind of upsetting, I guess, because I kind of wanted to spend some money this offseason, get some people in and kind of like get good really quickly. But we need a new left guard. We're probably going to draft one. We need a right tackle. We need a center, or we need a tight end, and we do need a center. Achan is a star development player. That's good. And then on the defense, I mean, we don't really need anything except for defensive line. Holland's up to superstar. Was he already superstar? I don't remember. He might have been already superstar. But it's not like we're missing a ton of pieces, and there's not really anybody in free agency that I want to waste the money on. So we're just going to move on. That's kind of upsetting that we didn't really get a good offseason, or didn't really get a good simulation in free agency. But hey, that's just the way things go sometimes. Sometimes teams decide to re-sign players that they don't usually re-sign. Sometimes they don't. But if we go to mock draft number 5, we can see the official final spots for where they think we're going to take. So we obviously need offensive linemen. That's what we've been talking about the entire video. But other than that, we need a tight end. We need defensive line, preferably a tackle and an end. And then maybe a corner, or maybe a defensive line, or a linebacker. Those are really the only things that we're missing. And obviously, you guys know that I used my stuff on tackles, so we have 95% on most of these tackles, on all of these tackles, really. But I used my Week 11 stuff on a defensive lineman, Quan Gatewood, who looked pretty decent as a physical player. But he doesn't look amazing with his skills, so I'm a little bit concerned about that. I also used it on this running back, Quentin Randolph. Now, I know we don't necessarily need a running back, but he had A juke move, B spin move, which usually means that the running back is going to be pretty good. I just wanted to know how good he actually was going to be. And then I used my other one on Brian Palmer, another speed rusher. He's 6'5". He didn't go in the combine. His power moves aren't great. It doesn't look that amazing for a defensive line class, which I'm a little bit upset about. There could be some good corners available. This guy looks pretty good. LaMichael Traylor. He's got good man coverage and good zone coverage. I might use one of them on him just to kind of figure out how good he actually is. Ooh, there's a Buckeye. Matt Barrett, 6'4". Not the greatest athlete. Okay, he looks pretty solid as a pass rusher, but his athletics are not quite there. But he can turn into something. There's obviously a bunch of good tackles on the board. A 6'6" vertical tight end, Jimmy Armstrong. This could be our guy. And he's around 1 to 2. I think I'm going to use one on him. I'm going to use one on LaMichael Traylor. And I'm going to use another one on probably Dan Werner as a power rusher. So we're going to learn a little bit more about those guys. And that is probably going to be our draft, I guess. Take one final look at where... So Quan Gatewood's going to go number 1 overall to the Commanders. I don't really think he's a number 1 overall pick, but hey, if the Commanders want to take him, fine. He's probably got a development trait. They have us taking Taj Brothers, 6'5" right tackle from Miami. I took a look at him earlier. He looks really good. I would not be opposed to taking Taj Brothers. He does look very solid. I'm not opposed to taking him. I'm not opposed to taking. I think that if we get our offensive lineman out of the way in year number 1, then we can get focused on the next offseason, getting the rest of the pieces. I'm not opposed to taking Taj Brothers at 12. I think that's a solid pick, and that's probably what I'm going to do. Unless I can trade back. I don't know. Let's see who goes number 1. It is Quan Gatewood. He might end up being good. He just doesn't look that good as a pass rusher. He looks okay physically, like as an athlete, but as a pass rusher, he doesn't look amazing. All right, we are getting close to pick 12. Everybody's going where they expected to get taken, and now it's our pick. So we could take Taj Brothers here at pick 12. We don't pick again till the second round, pick 12 of the second round. And I don't think we have a third-round pick this year. If we were to trade back, we can't really get a ton for the pick. We can get a couple first-rounders. I really wish that I could get 3 first-rounders, but nobody's offering me. Everybody's just offering me next year's picks. This one is not bad, but it's also not amazing. We could go back to the final pick of the first round, but also pick up a first rounder from the Jags. The Jags did just make the Super Bowl. We could grab the Niners pick, but the Niners are always good. I don't want to get their first round pick. Honestly, I think we just stick with what we have and take Taj Brothers. Yeah, there's some intriguing offers here, but I guess let me just do a little bit of look around the rest of the tackles. Because if there's like a guy that we can get a little bit later and don't have to trade or don't have to take right away. So is there a guy in the first round in any of the tackle spots that is better than Brothers, Taj Brothers? Let's take a look. We got Mark Samuel, not as good of an athlete as Brothers is, but skill-wise looks about the same pretty much, maybe even a little bit better. His pass blocking is better than Brothers is. There's only 2 tackles that are draftable, which is kind of crazy. And then we got left tackles over here. We've got Diego Esparza. Looks like a solid physical player. And then not amazing technically. Not amazing skill-wise, I should say. And then you've got Alex Bigsby, who is not an amazing athlete and not really that good skill-wise. Lorenzo Dunlap, very good physically. Lorenzo Dunlap, it looks like the best one other than the other 2 tackles, but he might get taken. Like Mark Samuel, is Mark Samuel better than Taj Brothers? 6'5". Brothers has B on the lead block, so he's got B's. What does Mark Samuel have there? He's just a slightly worse athlete, but he's got better pass block. Not as good lead block. This is a tough choice. I don't honestly know which one is the better decision. I think Taj Brothers is obviously the better player. It's just a matter of, do we need to take Taj Brothers or do we trade back? That's the big question. We obviously need a tackle. We need to come away with a tackle in this draft. I just don't know if we should trade back, because there's the possibility, because he's round 1 to 2 projection, there's a possibility that Mark Samuel is there in the second round even, at pick 12. And we can end up getting more value back. I think I'm going to trade the pick. I don't know what I'm going to trade it for, but I think I'm going to trade the pick. I know for a fact I need to get multiple first-round picks, so any trade packages that don't include multiple first-round picks is not where I'm thinking. And it looks like none of these are really that enticing. I probably want to stay in this year's draft as well, and I like the Jaguars. They're giving me a 2024 first, third, and 4, all in this year's draft, and then a 2025 1 and 6. So I like the Jaguars. The Eagles are giving me a bunch of stuff as well, a lot of stuff in 2024, but no first-round picks extra. I don't mind the Charger, but I think I'm going to do the Jaguars. The Jaguars one is the most enticing one. They're giving me a lot of good stuff. Plus, we don't have a third-round pick this year, so giving that Jaguars pick would help us out. I know it's pretty late into the round because they're pretty good, but getting that extra first-round pick is certainly going to be helpful. We do move back to the final pick of the third round, but I didn't really want to take Taj Brothers. Every year there's good tackles in the draft, so we don't have to worry about that too much. LaMichael Traylor goes to Jacksonville. Taj Brothers ends up going to the Buccaneers, so he falls a little bit further than what he was going to go if we took him. And we will see what happens. There goes Jimmy Armstrong. I did like him. He looked like a really good player. There goes Mark Samuel. That was one of the guys I was looking at. So we are in a little bit of a predicament right now, but there could be some good players if they make it here. If they make it to our pick. I was hoping Samuel would make it. He doesn't end up doing it. Esperanza didn't look amazing, so I'm glad that he got off the board. Some interesting players going. Juan Harris, Dwayne McClendon. There goes Alex Bigsby, 2 picks away from us. I was hoping he'd make it there. All right, now here's our pick at pick 32. A lot of quarterbacks still on the board. And how's the tackle market looking? Not looking Gouda. Yeah, okay, so maybe we made a mistake in not coming away with a tackle, but we do have an extra first-round pick for next year. Yeah, it's probably going to be not great with it being the Jags pick, but getting an extra first-round pick is going to be good in the long run, regardless of when it is. Left guard Mark Hewitt. What do I want to do here? Dave Lehman doesn't look amazing. What about Eric Rhodes? I mean, there's not really a whole lot that I'm excited about. I do like the look of Lucas Knight. I might try to grab him in the second round with our second round pick, because he looks pretty decent. Nicholas Slayton could have something. Tony Lowry looks really good physically and looks like possibly a good player skill-wise. So him in the second round could be good. There's a couple solid offensive line or left guards down the board, so we don't have to worry about left guard. But left tackle, there's just not a whole lot available. Tight end-wise, Peyton Carey, he's a vertical threat. Looks solid, but is he going to be better than Croft? Probably. He'd probably be better than Croft right away. Donnie Walker. I wouldn't be too worried about drafting a tight end that's bad if we were in Kansas City's playbook, because they would just get good immediately. but not having Kansas City's playbook is a little bit different. It's making me change my my process of who I'm thinking about drafting. As far as safeties go, there's not really a ton here. Corners, we don't really need one right now, not in the first round at least. What about George Lowe? He's a 6'5" speed rusher with great speed. His play rec isn't good. Don't know too much about him. Do we risk taking, I mean, it is pick 32. It's basically a second round pick at this point. Do we risk taking a not great speed rusher? Because he could be normal development, and that would really hurt the vibes. That would really hurt the vibes if we missed on him. Emmanuel Whitley actually looks a little bit better than dude. The defensive line, his depth is gone. I'm gonna take George Lowe. I doubt he's gonna be good. He is only normal development. That's what I was worried about. I just didn't like anything that we had. I didn't like anything that we had there. Now we have to skip to our next pick. And I'm hoping some of those offensive linemen are on the board. I'm hoping that some of these offensive linemen are on the board. So Tony Lowry is here. I did like Tony Lowry. Lucas Knight's on the board. I think I wanted to take Lucas Knight. He looked really, really good. Is it him? Yeah. I think it's Lucas Knight. We're going to take Lucas Knight. Only normal development as well. That's crazy. Okay, so year one draft is not going the way that I wanted to in terms of, like, development traits. Normal development on that center is crazy. He looked pretty good. I think he still will be pretty good. It's just not having that development trait kind of hurts. Left guards are all gone. Centers could be all gone. Guards are all gone. Tackles are all gone. The offensive line depth has been severely drained. Christopher Mitchell, excuse me. Doesn't look worth it. Not in the third round. Maybe a sixth round pick. Is there anybody on the board? I might just let the CPU handle this. Nicholas Betts has 8 power moves, which intrigues me. Sean Whitfield's a little bit of a better athlete, and he's got the finesse moves. He's a run stopper. He's got 8 finesse moves. Nicholas Betts is also a run stopper. He's not as good of an athlete, but he's got A play rec, A power moves, C block shed, B tackling. I think Nicholas Betts is the better option. He's also 90 normal development, so I am just swinging and missing here, and my drafting god reputation is taking a big hit. I'm going to end the draft. I don't want to take any more people. No hidden developments in that entire draft that I drafted. The CPU might get somebody, but man, that's a little bit upsetting. I do think it was still the right idea to trade out of the 12th pick, because yeah, we could have gotten ourselves a stud right tackle, but getting that extra first round pick, banking on the future drafts being better, I think is going to end up being the better option for us. 73 for George Lowe, 71 for Knight, 71 for Betts, and then they took a bunch of guys that are not great, but they made that development trait. You never know. How good was this class? So they had an 82 in Elton Little and in Quentin Randolph, who I did look at, by the way. That's the guy I was looking at. I knew he was going to be good because he had the juke move and the spin move and stuff. And then the quarterback was an 82. Wow, Paul Lang, excuse me. Where is our guy that we would have drafted? He's down here, still down here. The tight end has ended up being a 75. That's a pretty good pick. Where is he at? Is he that bad? Or did I pass him? There he is. He's a 73. So we would have took him at 12. He only has normal as well. So you know what? We didn't miss out on that much. We were going to take Taj Brothers, and he ends up only being normal in a 73. So I would have been upset if we would have wasted a top 15 pick on a guy that's normal development and a 73 overall, which is what we ended up getting with our linebacker, George Lowe, at pick 32. So, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I feel like we just went in a lateral move right there. It didn't really affect us or hurt us at all. Let's generate the best lineup. And we've got Austin Jackson there. We've got Knight at 71. I wonder, he's a 73 at right guard. You know what? He's just going to play right guard for us. Why not? Why keep him down when he can play right guard for us? So he's going to start there. We've got not great tight ends, but we've got solid receivers. Tua's now a superstar. I didn't notice that before, but he is. a superstar. And then on the defense, we've got Lowe over here. He's going to be backing up Bradley Chubb. I don't think that's a bad thing, but maybe it is. I don't know. And then I'm going to put Betts over Raekwon Davis just so that the rookie can get more chances to play. And maybe he balls out. I don't know. But that's going to be our Season 1 finished. We're going to simulate to the playoffs of Season 2 and maybe have a better year. Hopefully make the playoffs this year. I really hope that year 1 was just a bad, weird simulation year and we actually dominate this year. But I'll see you guys at the end of Season 2 into the playoffs. Okay, I wanted to cut in here. We're at the midseason mark of year number 2. And I wanted to cut in because I forgot to say that we're still rocking Miami's Playbooks. I wanted to show you guys that we're still rocking Miami's Playbooks because that's what this video is about. That's what this rebuild challenge is about, not using Kansas City and Dallas's playbooks. So we are still rocking Miami, and we're still rocking West Coast Zone Run base 3-4. So I just wanted to cut in and show you guys that really quickly because I forgot to show you guys at the end of last season when we started simulating. Currently, we're 5-2 at the midseason mark. We're looking pretty good. I don't think that we need to change anything. We just need to ride it out with what we have, and hopefully the Jaguars are doing bad. I don't know. I guess we can take a look really quick and see if the Jaguars are playing well, and they're 5-1. Great. I knew that pick wasn't going to be like super valuable, but it's another first-round pick. It's another first-round pick. It's always going to be good. Okay, now we're going to cut to the playoffs, and I'll see you guys then. We've made it to the end of year number 2, and we made the playoffs. 12-5, won the AFC East. That's a much better season than what we had last year, finishing 8-9. I'm happy that we actually turned up and played well. And Tua pretty much had the same touchdown to interception ratio, but he improved his completion percentage and he threw for more yardage. So that is awesome. Tua had a really, really good year, 4,100 yards, 32 and 11. Achan had 1,100 yards and 9 touchdowns. Mostert was a merchant from the goal line. It looks like 12 touchdowns taken away from Achan's numbers. 3 1,000-yard receivers. Tyreek had 1,000 with 8 touchdowns. Puka Nacua could be going up to star development, baby. Galaxy brain move. 1,000 yards, 13 touchdowns. And then Jalen Waddle, 1,000 yards, but only 4 touchdowns. And then defensively, Jerome Baker, no surprise, leads the team with tackles. And Jalen Phillips, look at this stat line. 81 tackles, 10 for loss, and 12.5 sacks. I'm telling you, if you don't get Jalen Phillips on your teams in rebuilds or in your franchise, whatever it is, he simulates so well. He does really well, especially if you put him in good playbooks like Dallas, obviously Buffalo, and Miami. Baltimore probably has a good defensive playbook for him. Like he simulates so well. Xavier Howard has 79 tackles, only 1 pick. He's not really getting the picks that I expected him to get. He usually is a pick merchant. Sealer again leads with 17 tackles for loss. Christian Wilkins had 13. Sack leader was Jalen Phillips with 12.5 by a mile. 6.5 for Sealer, 4 for Wilkins. Interception leader was Jerome Baker with 4. Holland and Ramsey had 3. Couple guys had 2-1. All kinds of stuff. Okay, so that is Season 2's stat line out of the way. We take on the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round. Are we going to beat them? I hope so, and we don't. We lose in round 1 to a 9-8 Bills team that we honestly should not have had any business losing to. But hey, that's Madden simulation for you. That is Madden simulation for you right off the bat. Now we go to the year 2 playoffs, or the year 2 offseason, really. We got to see who wins the Super Bowl, but the year 2 offseason is going to be interesting because still we have a lot of money. The money has not gone away. We have $92.4 million, and the Bills have had a miracle run and have gotten all the way to the Super Bowl to take on the Eagles. Are the Bills the team of destiny this year? From 9-8 to Super Bowl champions? It is. 9-8 Bills go on a miracle run and win the Super Bowl over the Eagles. Wow, that is not something I would have predicted at all. I guess congratulations. Oh, they just had Josh Allen become the greatest of all time. Super Bowl MVP and regular season MVP. Whatever. Okay, I don't know how they didn't play well during the regular season, but that is an interesting simulation there in the playoffs. So now I don't feel as bad losing to them, but since they were on such a magical type of run they were going on, but still it sucks that we lost. I did re-sign a few players that were key to bring back Kelvin Joseph now goes up to star. He had normal. That's why I didn't re-sign him. And you know what? We've got the money. Let's just bring him back. He's only 25. Bringing in some extra corner depth would not be a bad thing whatsoever. So Kelvin Joseph is returning to the team. Everybody else can pretty much get their walking papers. Let's get to free agency, and I really, really need this free agency to be better than last year's. I don't know if it will be. As long as there's like 1 or 2 guys that are fit what we need to do, I just want to spend some money, man. I want to spend some money. And again, it's just not really an amazing class. There's some older guys, but the overalls are just simply not there. Again, we've got all this money and nowhere to spend it. I'm begging teams to let go of their players. Jerry Jeudy's here, but we already have Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, and Puka. We don't need Jerry Jeudy, but he really wants to be a part of the team. And I got money to burn, man. I'm going to spend it on Jerry Jeudy. We don't need Jerry Jeudy, but having him as a 4th receiver would not be a bad thing at all. Tight end, we probably do need to grab a tight end that's better than what we have. So I'm going to go and offer Josh Oliver since he's a couple years younger than Jonnu Smith. And we will bring in Josh Oliver at tight end. Offensive line, there's just no one here that I want at all. There's just no one there. Defensive line, I don't want anybody there. Don't want anybody here. Man, they are really limiting me on my money. I want to spend my money, man. That's why I am in the spot that I'm in, so I can spend the money, but there's just nobody that I want at all. So we got 2 guys. They both signed, and they both signed with us. We bring in Jerry Jeudy as a 4th receiver that we didn't really need, but I'll take it. That could help us out in simulation. Maybe Jerry Jeudy's the guy that we were missing. Maybe he's the piece that we were absolutely in need for, and he's gonna turn this team around. I doubt it, but you never know. You never know. And plus, adding him to a receiving room that already includes guys like Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Puka Nacua, certainly not a bad thing. Certainly not a bad thing. So we'll adjust the team, and it looks like we lost our center, so Connor Williams. So Lucas Knight starts at center now. We definitely need to work on the right guard and center and right tackle spot. But at least for right... Oh, no, Connor Williams moved over to tackle. Oh, okay. We'll change this. So we need offensive tackles, is for sure. We will change Lucas Knight to be a right guard, so Connor Williams can be the starting center, at least for right now. So if we do that, and then we generate best lineup, it doesn't move Connor Williams to center, but he should be the center. So he will go and do that. We will switch. I don't know who we can have play tackle. I guess we can have Lester Cotton play tackle until we figure out what we need to do. But we're going to have Connor Williams start at center. There we go. Perfect. We'll have to get a center in the draft, no doubt about it. Another center other than Knight, because I know Knight was a center too. But the middle of the offensive line looks pretty solid. We just need to work on the rest. Let's go to the draft and figure out what we got. Let's figure out what we got. We still got a ton of money, man. We still got a ton of money. I want to spend it, but I can't spend it on people I don't want. That's just wasting at that point. Might as well save it in case we need to re-sign Tua or something. Or Jalen Waddle. I don't know when those guys' contracts are coming up, but I'm assuming it's pretty soon. All right, so as for players, I used my national focus on defensive line, on like defensive ends, I should say. So that's why we are knowing a little bit more about them. But we need to bring in some tackles. That's the main thing. So we need to look at left tackles and right tackles. We have 2 first-round picks. We need to absolutely know who we're going for. Reggie Sinclair looks like a really solid athlete. I'm going to probably use one on him. How about Daniel, what's his name? Donahue? Daniel Donahue? Looks pretty good as well. Will they be there at our picks? I don't know. And then the right tackle spot, there's a little bit more, but not that much. We've got Dwight Devine or Devin. I think it's Devine, I would guess. And Diego Barron. Okay, both look pretty solid. How about the center position? Okay, there are a couple centers down the board that we could go for, But I think my focus training is going to go to Diego Barron, or Barone, and these 2 left tackles. Those are going to be the 3 guys that we scout, and I'm hoping that they are not going to be going higher than what we are picking. I don't know when the Jaguars pick. I guess we could take a look at the mock draft. Mock draft number 5 has us. Okay, so Diego is actually a top 10 pick, which is weird, but whatever. Where do we pick at? Donahue's pick 16. We pick at 23 and 24, so we pick back to back. Okay. That is interesting. I don't see anybody that we want down the board, but are there any? So we saw Donahue. There's Donahue. I also took a look at Max Barker. He looked okay. There's Divine. There's Barron. And Reggie Sinclair. Okay, so that's 4 of the guys. Is that everybody that we were looking at? That's everybody that we were looking at, I'm pretty sure, right? Sinclair and Donahue were top picks. And then on this side, Dwight and Diego Barron. And then Tim Simpson. I'll put those 2 guys on the board as well, just in case. Well, we need to come away with some tackles. So I would prefer Reggie Sinclair because I think he's going to be better. But we have to come away with tackles. We can't have the offense line be as bad as it is, because maybe that was the reason why we lost in the wild card round, because Buffalo's defense got to us on the edges. That could be a possibility. And I think the offense line is our biggest weakness right now. I really do think our offense line is the biggest weakness. How are we going to get up to the top 10 picks where Reggie Sinclair is projected to go? I don't know. I really don't know. Okay. I think we can do it. I think it was Chicago that had Sinclair that were projected to take him. So if we can go up and get Sinclair from the Bears, they had pick 4. It wasn't pick 4, was it? I thought it was pick 6. Hold on, I got to go back and check the mock draft. I thought it was pick. I could have swore it was pick 6. Let me take a look at the mock draft. It was, oh no, it was pick 4. Oh, Barron was pick 6. Okay, so pick 4 is Sinclair. How are we going to get up to pick 4? That's going to be difficult to trade up to get. That is going to be difficult. A top 5 pick. Bears are not going to go away with that easily. I'll give them pick 24, obviously. Okay, we're on good talking right now. I'll give them a 2027 first round pick, and that is really close. And then I'll give them I have a couple 6 I don't need, probably. All right, that didn't really work too well. I'll give them a 2027 4. How's that? I bet that sweetens the pot. Not enough. Okay. How about a 2027 3 instead of a 4? Ooh, so close. So close. Okay, I'll give you my 7 in 2025 this year. Trade accepted. Okay, so 2 first-round picks, a 3 and a 7 gets us pick 4. We can take Reggie Sinclair, and that'll be at least one of our tackle spots figured out. So, and we kept our other first-round pick as well. I didn't have to trade away both of them. So Johnny Cannon, what a name, by the way, goes number 1. Mike Evans goes number 2. Daryl Jennings, and now we're up, and we're going to take Reggie Sinclair. We are going to take Reggie Sinclair with this pick. He's going to be hopefully our franchise tackle. I don't know which side of the tackle spot he's going to be on. Probably the left side. And then Austin Jackson for right now will be on the right side. But that's a big one. We locked up a right tackle. I hope he's super good. And now we have to just hope and pray that somebody else falls to our spot. So Donahue and Barron both go back to back. Then Devin. So all the tackles are going in the top 10 of the picks. That's not promising, because I think that might have been everybody that we were looking for. There goes Max Barker, D'Angelo Mayo. I don't know who's going to be there when we come up and pick again. I don't think it would be smart to trade down, but maybe we could take a look at the options. There goes Angelo Royster, who I did look at. He looked like a solid player. All right, we don't pick again till the third round, so we got to make this pick matter, whoever we take. And is it going to be Glenn Reynolds? It certainly could be. He looks like a solid player. There's a lot of safeties on the board, but we don't necessarily need safeties. Speed rusher Peter Humphreys. He's a speed rusher, but he doesn't have good power moves or anything like that, or finesse moves. Not super interested in him. I like that left guard. Do we use 2 first-round picks on guards or on offensive linemen? That is our biggest weakness, I guess. Maybe that's what we need to do. Glenn Reynolds, welcome to the team. Only normal development. It's a little bit of a miss, but we need offensive linemen for sure. So that is a pick we absolutely needed. Next user pick is in the 3rd round. This will probably be the last pick that I make, and then we'll let the CPU handle the rest. Who's on the board? We've got a round 2 to 3 guy, Jalen Kramer. He's a 6'4" speed rusher with decent speed. And then we've got a couple round 2 to 3 guys still on the board. Jarek Hunter. D block shed, D power moves. No, thank you. I never actually looked at Kramer's skills. He has B block shed, B tackling, A to C on the power moves. Doesn't look super enticing. How about this guy? Barry Lowry. Looks like a pretty solid athlete. His pursuit's bad, but doesn't really matter for a D tackle too much. B to D power moves could be a little bit of a risk, but I'm going to take Barry Lowry. Hey, we got actually a hidden development player. Look at that. All right, pairing him up alongside Betts, who we took last year, could be a nice little pairing. And that is going to be our draft, for us at least. We're going to simulate the rest. Not getting development trade on that left guard, it hurts a little bit. But our guard spots are actually pretty solid already. So maybe he's a higher overall tackle, and we can kind of get away with that. Just getting offensive linemen with no development trait in general sucks because it's so hard for them to develop. 74 for Sinclair, perfect. And a 75 for Reynolds. So even though he has normal development, a 75 is not really a miss. Lowry has 68 overall. He's a D tackle. They took Duvon Clements, who's a 74 overall corner with normal development. All right. And then a couple other guys. Let me just throw Glenn Reynolds at right tackle and see if he moves over, as his overall changes drastically. Let's just experiment here. He ends up being a 73 at right tackle. So we'll keep him at guard because he's 2 overall high. It's not a drastic move, but having him at guard, having him be the higher overall is definitely where you want to have him at. So I don't think we missed too much, but we had a solid draft. Who was the best player in the class? It was Mike Evans, funny enough. And there was Gordon Stanley. If we would have had a 2nd round pick, maybe I would have taken Gordon Stanley. I don't know. But this class doesn't look that great in general. A lot of 76s. I think for what we had, we took some solid players. Reggie Sinclair, even though he's a low overall, has that development trait, and he's going to start at left tackle immediately. So he should be pretty solid. We're going to adjust the lineup and make sure we're rocking everything we need to. Yep, there we go. And Reynolds will be behind Robert Hunt. But the offensive line looks a little bit better now. That is for sure. It does look a little bit better. I could move Robert Hunt to right tackle and have Reynolds play left guard. That's a possibility. 2 is actually an X factor now. I didn't even realize. Does he have freight train? 2 has got freight train. I didn't know quarterbacks could get freight train. We're going to give him run and gun. And then we're going to give him protected. Definitely quick draw. We're going to give him hot route master for sure. And then he's going to get pocket deadeye, and he's going to get... What else should he get? Not high point deadeye. Maybe sideline deadeye would be good. Or conductor. Inside deadeye. We'll give him inside deadeye. So that should help 2 out a little bit. Not simulation, really, but if we jump in and play with him. And I think I might do that. We're going to have Robert Hunt play right tackle, and Glenn Reynolds play left guard. So the offensive line looks good, and we'll simulate and see how we go. We're still rocking Miami's playbooks. You guys saw that I didn't change it at all. We're still rocking the Miami playbooks. If we go to the schemes, and we will rock them the entire season. Do we have anything that's a higher scheme fit other than 91%? Doesn't look like it. 87% is the highest as that. Okay, so we're still rocking Miami, as you saw. And I will simulate to the end of Season 3 into the Season 3 playoffs, and we will see if we can do better than what we did last year, which is win the division and get knocked out of the wild card. I hope so. We'll find out. We have made it to the end of Year 3. We're in the Year 3 playoffs, and we are a part of them again, this time in the wild card once again, but we aren't the division winners. The Bills did beat us with the, I'm guessing it was the tiebreaker advantage. They're 12-5, we're 12-5. They got ahead of us, but I think we had a pretty good year. Yeah, Tua finished second in passing yards this year, and remember, we're still in Miami's playbook, so Tua's finally starting to become the franchise quarterback that we knew he could be, and he had a wonderful season. 4,500 yards, 40 touchdowns, just 4 picks. That's a fantastic year with 73% completion percentage. Unbelievable. Achan had 1,200 yards and 13 touchdowns. Another season with 3 1,000-yard receivers, and Tyreek had 1,400 of them and 13 touchdowns. Nakua becoming a really solid player. That could be superstar development for Nakua. 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Defensively, we had a fantastic year in terms of tackles for Jerome Baker, 138. 6 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks. X-Man had 101 tackles, 1 pick. Ramsey had 98 tackles, 2 picks. Tackle for loss leader was Zach Sealer again with 17. I think he's led every single year. Or maybe every year but the first year. 12 tackles for loss for Wilkins. 10 sacks for Wilkins is the lead, with Phillips having 8, Sealer having 6. Pick leader was Ramsey with 2. We didn't really get a lot of picks. The Dolphin defense doesn't get a lot of picks, I'm noticing. But still, very solid year. And now we are taking on the Baltimore Ravens. 11-6 versus 12-5. Get to the divisional. Get to the divisional round, and we will. 34-28. That's exactly what we needed to do. Now we take on the Steelers. So we're running the AFC North gauntlet right now, trying to get through this playoff run. Can we do it? Can we beat Pittsburgh and go to the AFC title game for the first time in the rebuild? We lose by a point. We lose by a singular point and fall in Year 3 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't understand how we have such a good team and don't do it, don't move on. It's kind of confusing to me, and we would have had to play the Bengals, so we would have had to play the Ravens, the Steelers, and the Bengals if we wanted to get to the Super Bowl this year. That's kind of crazy. It's Panthers Bengals Super Bowl. Who is going to win? Probably Cincinnati, I would think. And it is 49-35 Cincinnati with the W over Carolina. So Joe Burrow gets his championship. He was robbed of one against the Rams in real life, and he finally gets one. Joe Mixon's the MVP. Josh Allen once again Super Bowl regular season MVP, and we don't win any awards again. That's okay. We're still rocking with good morale boosts and good development, so we're still pretty fine. And we still got a ton of money. I literally can't pay people money because there's not anybody that I want to pay. So I really hope that this free agency because this free agency, if it's good, we could really go all in and go for a championship in Year 4. There's only 4 people on the books that need new contracts. I don't care about any of them. So we can save that whole $80 million and send it into free agency. I'm really banking on somebody good being here. If we could get like a good pass rusher or a good linebacker or something like that, that would really help us out. And there's going to be not a whole lot again. The 3rd straight year with just not great overalls. I mean, there's Jaquan Brisker. Pairing him alongside Javon Holland could be interesting. I'll offer him a contract. Plus, he wants to be here, so that definitely helps out. I'll offer him a contract. I hope he accepts. DeMarcus Lawrence being 34, I don't like, but it could be a similar thing to the Khalil Mack experiment we've done in the past, where he really dominates. So we'll battle with the Cowboys. I don't know if we'll be able to beat them out, but we'll go with it. So if we bring in a safety and a lineman, a defensive lineman, that would pretty much finish our defense, I think, because we don't need any corners. I don't think. The offensive line's still looking good. Reynolds and Puka is in fact superstar, so he did go up. But we're looking pretty good on the offensive line now with our 2 rookies, or our 2 draft picks that we got, plus Sinclair as well as a star development player. So we're looking pretty solid on the offensive line now. Jerome Baker's a superstar. Lowry's only a 72, but he is star development, so we'll bump him up. Sealer's gone up finally. The corners are looking solid enough. Javon Holland's an X factor, I just realized. And if we bring in Jaquan Brisker, he'll start over Jones. So we could use maybe an outside linebacker or a linebacker 2 and maybe 1 more D tackle, because 72 is a little bit lower. So if we go into free agency and look for a D tackle and maybe an outside linebacker, there is Khalil Mack, but he's only a 77, so it's not really better than what Bradley Chubb is, even though he's a whatchamacallit, X factor. I'll offer Shaq Thompson a deal. I don't really go for Shaq Thompson because he's a little bit older, but we'll offer him a deal. Maybe he can play middle linebacker 2. And then we said we needed a D tackle. Taylor Tart is available, and he is a better overall than what we have already. So, and he wants to be here, so we will give Taylor Tart a nice contract and hopefully get him. I don't know if we will. The Packer deal is a little bit more enticing maybe. But these are the guys we've targeted, all on the defense. Let's do that. Everybody accepted but Taylor Tart. Did they all sign with us? Jaquan Brisker and Shaq Thompson did. Who was the guy we didn't get DeMarcus Lawrence. He goes back to the Cowboys. Okay. But Zach Sealer is a star development player now, so that helps a little bit. But we add Jaquan Brisker and Shaq Thompson. The Jets are now in on Taylor Tart. Will he sign with us? He's chosen a team, and it is us. Taylor Tart chooses us. So finally, I can at least spend a little bit of money. Makes me feel a little better. Let's go and adjust the team. Everybody's playing up with good morale. Everybody's happy. I think Season 4 is really going to be our year. We made it to the AFC Divisional round. I think Year 4 is going to be a good year for us. So if we go to the defense and we generate the best lineup, we now add Shaq Thompson, who actually has an upgrade point. We'll give him Field General in his upgrade point. All right, good on him. He's a little bit older now, but he should still be good. We still got Bradley Chubb. We add in Taylor Tart. We still have Betts, and we still have Lowry. And Sealer is good enough for right now, but the defense looks a lot better now. The defense looks a lot better now, and the offense still looks pretty good. I wish that we had some what is it called? Development traits on the offensive line is what I was thinking of. But we're still playing pretty well. We are still playing pretty well, and I'm going to generate the best lineup there. And now we add all of that stuff. So we're looking pretty good. We are looking pretty darn solid. I like the team. I think that we're going to get even better in Season 4. And we're going to go to the draft and hopefully pick up some good players. I don't know what our draft pick is going to be. Probably pretty low or pretty high, I should say. Whatever, however which way you want to say it. We're going to be in the high part of the draft, basically. We're not going to have... we're not going to have that big of a pick, or not that good of a pick. All right, free agency recap, mock draft number 5. It was a pretty heavy defensive line, offensive or outside linebacker class, at least at the top. So I used my my thingy. I used it on defensive linemen because I still think that's what we need. So we have 95% on a bunch of defensive linemen. Perfect. What are we picking at though? We pick at pick number 26, and they have us taking a running back. Really? I don't really want a running back. We don't really need a running back. We have a Chan. I don't really know who we're gonna take, to be honest. I don't know who we're going to take because we're in such a weird spot where all the good players that I would want are going to get taken above us, most likely. And I don't really know if we should trade up or not. I guess we should probably find out if one of these guys is worth trading up for. That's probably the smartest thing to do. Because at this point, we're not going to need those later year draft picks. So I'm going to use it on David Morrison from Michigan State. We're going to use it on Devin Middleton. And we're going to use it on D'Angelo McCord, probably. Yeah, sure. Those three guys are going to be the guys we use it on. And I just want to know if they're true top 5 talents to make sure we need to trade up for them. Because if they are, then perfect. We'll trade up and we'll try to get one to establish that defense. If they're not, then we can decide something else. Let's figure it out first, and then we'll go to the mock draft and see how good they actually are. So David Morrison is a true top 5 talent. No surprise. He looks really solid. He is a true top 5 talent. Middleton is actually round 1 to 2, and McCord is a true top 5. D'Angelo McCord also looks really good. His Fs are in stamina and hit power. That's not the worst things in the world. Both of them look pretty solid. Let's take a look at the mock draft, see where they're both going to go. So mock draft number 5 has Middleton going 1, which is not the guy we were interested in. McCord and Morrison are going back to back. So we want to get up to pick 4 with the Jets so that we can decide between the two of them. Is that going to be possible? I hope so. I really, really hope so, because I think both of them are going to be unbelievable players. So let's go talk to New York, trading again for the 4th pick, this time with the Jets. Let's go talk to them, call them up, and ask them, hey, Jets, you want to trade your 4th overall pick? Why not? We have pick 26. That's going to be a little bit tricky to trade up, but I think we can. If we offer that, it'll probably be our 1st round pick in 2028. We already don't have a 1st round pick in 2027, but we don't need a 1st round pick in 27 because I'm hoping we're going to be good. How about 2 1st round picks? And I'll give we already don't have a 2nd round pick. I'll give a 3rd and a 5 in 2028. How's that? Trade declined. I'll give a 5 in 2026 as well. Trade declined. I'll give a 6 in 2027. That should get it done. All right, perfect. So it's a lot to give up for number 4, but we now have the pick of the litter on who we want with those 2 defensive linemen. I would like both of them, obviously. I doubt that we can get them, especially because we don't have another 1st round pick. Devin Middleton does go, but he was the worst of the 3, so I'm not too worried about that. And now we are here at pick number 4. We have our pick of who we want. Do we want David Morrison or do we want D'Angelo McCord? Power rusher or a speed rusher? Morrison is 6'3", 276, 6'3", 255 for McCord. David Morrison, the power rusher, has elite acceleration, elite change of direction, elite jumping, great speed, great strength. And he's got pretty much solid around the board. He's got 8 power moves. He's pretty good. But then D'Angelo McCord has elite agility, which is something that Morrison didn't have. He's got A finesse moves, B power moves, A play rec. Man, I don't know. It's pretty much just who do I think is better? They've both got A awareness. But David Morrison has B's on hit power and stamina, which McCord doesn't. I think David Morrison's going to be my guy. David Morrison, hidden development, 90 acceleration, 87 strength, 85 speed, 86 jumping. Yeah, he's basically going to start right away over Sealer. And hopefully he can really help this team. And I would expect the Saints to take McCord. They do. So we'll have to see how good McCord is in the draft recap. Hopefully we didn't take the wrong guy. I think we took a pretty solid player. Receivers are not really good. Let's just go to the offensive linemen. Usually there's some good ones available. You've got DeMarcus Barkley, Charles's cousin. And he looks like a solid 3rd round pick. What about centers? You've got Andrew Diaz, Luke Gallagher, No right guards really that I like. Let's take DeMarcus Barkley. Whatever. Maybe he's good, maybe he's not. Hey, look at that. He's got hidden development, which is something I can't say about anybody but Reggie, whatever his name is, the left tackle we took. That I didn't really hit on anybody else in the offensive line, at least. But we got 2 hidden development players in the 3rd draft, and I think year 4 is really going to be our year. I honestly believe that. I think that year 4 is going to be our year. We're going to absolutely dominate. I mean, we're on that upward trajectory anyway. So let's go to the draft recap, see how good our guys are, and see how good McCord is. So Morrison's a 78. That's a huge pickup. Huge pickup. Barkley's a 71, but he had the hidden development, so I'll take that. Let's go see how good the draft was. Did we get the best player in the class? We did not. It was Christian Casey, but we got the 2nd best player. And McCord is also a 78, so we wouldn't have went wrong with either of them. They're both 78 overalls, but McCord's got superstar. So if Morrison has star, then I feel like I missed out. But if he's got X Factor, then I'll be happy. Okay, very interesting. They're basically the same player. They're so similar. You couldn't have gone wrong with either of them. Now I'm just worried that now that we know that McCord has superstar, I'm worried that Morrison's only got star. But he should probably start right over Sealer anyway. I think that's what I'm going to have him do. And we are still rocking Miami's playbooks. You guys know. I haven't changed it. So let's go generate best lineup. We've got Barkley now filling in the back. 4 wide receivers that I like. And then on defense, we're pretty much going to have... I'm going to move Morrison to left end, and he's going to start over... Sealer, basically. Because in this offense, or in this defense, Sealer's getting a lot of tackles for loss and a lot of sacks and stuff, so maybe maybe now Morrison can do that. So it's actually switched him around. There we go, perfect. And we will move Morrison up over Sealer. Tart will now start with a couple good defensive tackles as depth. I like the team. Year 4 is for sure the year. Year 4 is for sure the year where we're going to absolutely dominate. Like I said, we're still rocking the same stuff, same playbooks. Miami. And we might need to change the offensive scheme unless 81... Nope, 81's the best one. Okay, perfect. All right, let's simulate to the end of Season 4, into the Season 4 playoffs, where I'm expecting us to be very, very good. We've made it to the Year 4 playoffs, and we were the best team in the AFC, got the 1 seed, finished 14-3, won the division, obviously. I told you this was going to be our year. We played so well. Even if Tua dropped in production, he did not turn the ball over whatsoever. 3 interceptions, had a great completion percentage, 35 touchdowns, 3,700 yards. I mean, he had a great year. So did Achane Achane had 1,261 with 14 touchdowns. Tyreek killed it, 1,100 yards, 13 touchdowns. So the production from the receivers kind of dropped because Tua's production in terms of yards dropped, but he wasn't turning the ball over whatsoever. These are still very, very good numbers from the boys. You love to see it. And then defensively, Jerome Baker, 109 tackles, 3.5 sacks. Shaq Thompson played really well. Love to see that. So the 2 big-time middle linebackers, Jaquan Brisker, 80 tackles. Where is the rookie? I hope he played really well. And he did. He's right up here at the top with tackles for loss, 17 tackles for loss, and 9 sacks. I wonder if that's going to be Defensive Rookie of the Year. I hope so. I don't know what his development trait is, so I hope it's Defensive Rookie of the Year. 8 sacks for Christian Wilkins, 12 tackles for loss, and he led the team alongside Jalen Phillips with 9 sacks. Sealer had 4.5. Tart had 4. You love to see it. 5 picks from both Ramsey and Howard. 3 from Holland and Joseph, and then Thompson and Brisker had 2. I really hope that David Morrison won Defensive Rookie of the Year. That'd be really awesome. But first, I want to take a look at what his depth trait is, so that we know if he goes up or not. And we're looking good on the offense. What about the defense? What is his... My reputation is saved. By the way, Jaquan Brisker is up to a superstar. I don't know if you saw that or not. Oh, I'm so happy. I would have been happy with McCord because he ends up being superstar, but getting the X Factor Morrison, oh, he's so good. He's so good. David Morrison is better than McCord. He's got Run Stuffer. We'll give him Fearmonger maybe, or Unstoppable Force. Either one of these are pretty good. Let's give him Unstoppable Force, and then he can have... he's not really a high enough role to get the real good ones, so he can have Secure Tackler, and he can have Defensive Rally for right now. That's fine. But getting him as an X Factor, oh, I love it. I love it so much. Our 3 receivers are amazing. Plus Jerry Jeudy's having a fine year, or a fine career here in Miami. But we're looking good on the offense. Defense, we know, is looking amazing as well. And we take on the LA Chargers in the divisional round. Can we beat them to go to our first ever AFC Championship game? And we do. We're taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. This is a big one. They're 14-3 just like us. Ooh, that's a tough matchup. That is a real tough matchup. Oh, man. Wow, they had to beat the Texans to get here. We beat the Chargers. It's Falcons and Vikings. This is going to be one crazy AFC title game. We've shown so much good progression, though. We've had year 2, we were in the divisional round, got knocked out. No, in the wild card by the Bills. Year 3, we went to the divisional round, got knocked out by the Steelers. Now in year 4, we've made it to the AFC title game. I really hope we don't get knocked out by the Chiefs, but the Chiefs are so tough in simulation. Come on. And they have the same record as us. 35-28, we win, and we go to the Super Bowl to play the Minnesota Vikings. Wow, okay. We take on the Minnesota Vikings, who are 12-5. Very interesting. I haven't fully decided yet if this is going to be the final year, regardless if we win. If we do win the Super Bowl, this will be the final year. We'll end it after the win. But if we don't win, I don't know if we'll go another season or not. We might, but I don't know if we will or not. I haven't fully decided yet. Well, we got to take that. We'll figure out once we get into the game and actually see what happens. But I pray to baby Jesus that we can get the job done. Let's go and see if we can win this Miami Dolphins team a Super Bowl, the first one since the 70s. Dolphins and Vikings in the Super Bowl. What an interesting combination. You don't usually get these two teams in a Super Bowl in simulation. We lead 3-0, 6-0. Our offense is kind of just like muddling around. But there we go. There's a touchdown. 14-0. We're into the fourth quarter now. Things are getting a little spooky. It's been very quiet. We punt the ball back to the Vikings, but they punt it. This has been a defensive masterclass, it seems. I'm not sure what's going on here, but there's a minute 45 to go, and I think we might have gotten ourselves a championship. I think we might have just gotten ourselves a championship. We'll run this ball with Achan, and it's so nice to have a speed threat as a running back, because in Red Dragon franchise, Najee Harris is anything but a speed threat, that is for sure. But they have no more timeouts. It's 3rd and 3. Can Achan seal the deal? Yes, he can. Oh, I wanted to get the edge so bad, but Byron Murphy wrapped me up. I wanted to get the edge so badly. Let's just keep running the clock down. I kind of want to throw one with Tua, but we'll run it right here, and Achan goes down. He's got 81 yards on 19 carries. I wonder who they're going to give the MVP to, because this has been a defensive masterclass in terms of this game. Like, it's 14-0. You never see that. You absolutely never see that. Tua, middle of the field. Oh, Tyreek was open too, but it just tracked a little bit too far to the edge there. I still want to throw, though. I don't know if this is a smart idea, although, to be fair, it's under a minute, and they have to score 2 times. Tua could not get it to Thompson. I rolled out to the wrong side and got hit. It's 4th and 8. We could take our points, and we might. I'm just going to continue to jump. I just wanted to mess around. We do kick the field goal, and you know what? We'll go on defense. I don't usually go on defense, but it's only going to be one play since the clock accelerated. And they've got Davenport as their quarterback, but we got to use Morrison. Oh, that's going to be out of bounds. One final play for the Super Bowl. They can't win it by any means. It's 17-point lead, or a 17-point deficit, but I want to use Morrison, our rookie, who I hope won Defensive Rookie of the Year. He's an X Factor. He's amazing, although it's not showing he's an X Factor on the field. He's just going to chuck it up, nowhere to go, and the Miami Dolphins are back on top of the football world. for the first time in, what, 40, 50 years? I don't even know. It's crazy. But Tua, we kept this team intact, basically. We've got Tua, we've got Achane, we've got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek, we've got Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, Jerome Baker, Javon Holland. Who else am I missing? Xavier Howard. I mean, we've got basically the Miami Dolphins, except for we added a few different players on the offensive line and obviously Morrison, our defensive lineman. But it's basically the Miami Dolphins with a few patchwork additions, like which is what I said I would do at the beginning of the rebuild. And Tua gets to hold that trophy up proudly. The Miami Dolphins are world champions. This would make me sick in real life, mainly because my brother is a Dolphins fan. If you didn't know, I'm a Patriots fan. He's a Dolphins fan. But also because the Dolphins are in the same division as the Patriots, so I wouldn't like it. But it'd make me sick because then he'd be happy. And I don't want him ever to be happy. I'm just kidding. But we win the championship. Now we can officially decide if we're going to go another year, and we aren't. We are not going to go another year. We have won it, the championship, not using anything other than Miami's playbooks. We stuck. We didn't use Kansas City at all. That's a lot of ability slots. But we will advance 1 week to see the season recap. But we didn't use a single Kansas City playbook the entire time, or Dallas playbook, so we accomplished the challenge that I set out for us. We have a ton of money in cap room, too. And David Morrison just keeps getting better, man. He is going to be a 99 within a couple of years. He's so good. He's so good. Tua wins Super Bowl MVP. He doesn't win Defensive Rookie of the Year, though. It goes to Gerald Ballard, who's not even one of the guys that were taken at the top. It was him, Morrison, McCord, and then the other guy that was picked at the top half of the draft, or at the very top of the draft, but that wasn't his name. That wasn't the name of the dude, but... So he doesn't win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Luckily, he's already an X Factor, so he doesn't have to go up for the development trait. But look at the boys. This is the offense that won the Super Bowl in year number 4. We patchwork on the offensive line. We kept basically the same team with Williams and Hunt. We kind of just like did a little patchwork on the tight end spot. But in Kansas City's playbook, tight end, or in anything other than Kansas City's playbook, tight ends don't get used that much. Achane's playing up to a 99 with his morale. Tua's up to a 98 with his morale. Tyreek and Jalen Waddle are amazing. We brought in Jerry Jeudy. Puka is ended up becoming a really good player for us. And then on the defense, we've got ourselves this stud, man. He's so good. David Morrison, I'm so happy we traded up to get him. He might have been the difference maker. You never know. He certainly might have been the difference maker. He is so freaking good, man. I'm so happy we got him. I'm so happy we got all of these guys. We got Lucas Knight, who was a stud, drafted as a center, turned him to a right guard and ended up being a little bit better than him, or than at center. And then we drafted 2 solid left guards. We got Barkley this past season, who ends up being star development, and I'm sure he would turn into a pretty solid player as well if we were to go a few more seasons. But he's a solid player that we just got, little meatball. And then we got Glenn Reynolds, who has normal development still, but is a really good overall, and he's young, and he's still developing, and if he wins Offensive Lineman of the Year 1 year, he could certainly take that next step. And then we got this man who we traded up to get... This is the trade that we got the Jets for, right? Yeah, we traded up for the Bears. We traded up with the Bears to get Reggie Sinclair, and he ends up being not a high overall, but he's still going to grow. He's only 24 years old. He's still super good. Super, super good. But yeah, you can see there's not a lot of difference to this Dolphins team. Not a lot of change. We brought in Shaq Thompson, brought in Jaquan Brisker. Joseph is still here. I mean, there's not a whole lot of change. Everybody's just playing really well. Everybody developed. The morale really helps. And we win a Super Bowl with the Miami Dolphins. We have rebuilt them, not using Kansas City or Dallas's playbooks. We used Miami's the entire time. I'll just show you guys one final time just to solidify that we've used it. Yep, we've used it the entire time. It was Miami. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave it a like, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club like I said before. If you have any other suggestions for possible rebuilding challenges or rebuilding videos in general you want to see, leave them down below in the comments of any of my videos, but especially this one. And I will see if we can do them in the future. Thank you so much for stopping by and watch. I truly appreciate it. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.